So let's get into that. So why should men be masculine? A quote from a related blog, The Art of Manliness: embracing one's inherent masculinity could provide a significant boost to self-confidence. It's not about being macho. It's about understanding your own strengths and using them in a positive way. Another quote, it says leadership doesn't mean, again, being a macho man, but rather honing your decisive, resilient, and assertive skills, which are typically associated with masculinity, often lead to inspire others. And then it says from the Men's Journal, masculinity isn't about flexing your muscles in the mirror. It's about caring for your body, pushing yourself to grow stronger, and reaping the health benefits that come with regular exercise. This is, you could really associate it with toxic masculinity, but it's really just toxic millennialinity. I made up a word. We have this theory where, when it especially comes to health, that we can eat what we want, when we want, how we want, and we think it lasts forever. I seen a quote from my homeboy Aaron, shout out to him, on his Instagram yesterday, and he talked about how he found some statistics about how you people get in your 30s and wonder why you're losing hair, wonder why you struggle to lose weight at that once you're trying to get it together. You're having all these health problems. You didn't get enough sleep in your 20s. You ate what you want when you want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say I don't eat what I want. I mean, we all have those days. But when you live a lifestyle or something, it's a little different. And it starts to kind of catch up. So, and it also, and what people fail to realize too, your diet affects your mental performance. And again, if you are going to my boy Jake here, and you are going to him to get the sports psychology, and trying to get to have the best mental performance, because ultimately you can be to have the best skill set, but mentally, if you're not there in that moment, it's just not going to work. So could you share some success stories from your work with athletes, actors, and dancers, helping them to optimize their mental performance?
Yeah. I worked with I worked with a firefighter who was trying to get through the fire academy. And this was his career, being a career firefighter was multiple generations of his family. This is what he really wanted. But because of anxiety, he had failed out of the fire academy like 2 or 3 times. And so he was down to his final, they only give you like a certain number of, I can't remember, 3 or 4 tries. And he had so much anxiety from that. And, that's a hyper kind of masculine world as well. In the, fire academy, he got yelled at all the time. They're in this, basically it's like a boot camp for firefighters. And he had a lot of anxiety just from being yelled at, being in this somewhat toxic environment. But it's still, it's what he really wanted to do. So we worked for like 6 months together to get him ready for his final, like, I think it was 6 weeks in the fire academy. And once he was in the academy, we couldn't actually meet, in person, obviously, but we would text, check in with each other every day of it. And he made it through and passed. And that was probably one of the most satisfying clients I had, because not only, it wasn't just a sport, this was his career. This is what he wanted to do. And, after failing something a couple of times, it was incredibly satisfying to see him, get to pass and to get where he wanted. So that's one, I have so many stories, but that's one that comes to mind. I also had an actor that I worked with who was up for a series regular role on a pretty major network show. Everything was set. And then, a different executive came on, producer, and decided to recast the role. And it was really devastating to this actor. And, it was like, even she was contemplating going, I think she was from somewhere in the Midwest, going back home and just, pursuing another career. But we stuck with it. We did a lot of like performance imagery, visualization of where she wanted to be. We worked very hard, and she ultimately ended up being on 2 different shows that ended up being bigger network shows than the one that she got dropped from. And so, it's hard to have that perspective in the moment, but it's nice to then see perseverance, hard work, working on the mental side of performance. It will pay off at the we don't know what time it's going to pay off, but it will ultimately pay off.